It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
2020 is the gift that keeps on giving. And now, if there were gifts that we truly wanted and appreciated, we'd all be rubbing our hands in glee and clapping in delight. But my goodness, it's been one shock after another. The big story out of the world of sport is that Lionel Messi has demanded to leave Barcelona. That is our lead story on ZiFM Sport this Wednesday evening, Wacky Wednesday. That is no joke, everybody. Lionel Messi wants to leave Catalonia. We'll be discussing that one in the beautiful game. But before we get there, we got other interesting stories on the home front as well as internationally to give you in the company of Chris Gray, Barry Menandi, Alois Munjira, and our producer Sean Tafirenyika. My name is Mike Madoda. Now on the home front, Caps United Football Club boss Farai Jere, who's facing a fraud charge of around $3.6 million involving an electricity smart meter tender, has accused jealous competitors of causing his arrest to hijack his contract. In international sport, we go stateside where Paul George and Kawhi Leonard became the first duo to score 30-plus points in 30 or fewer minutes as the Clippers blew out the Mavericks to take a 3-2 series lead out in the West.
We take you around the world in 60, beginning in England, where James Anderson says he still loves Test cricket and is not ruling out taking 700 wickets and playing in another overseas Ashes series. In New Zealand, the coronavirus delayed North versus South Island rugby showdown will now take place in Wellington without spectators after being delayed until the 5th of September. And in the United States, Serena Williams said there were really no excuses as she was knocked out of the Western and Southern Open in the third round by Greek Maria Sakkari.
In the beautiful game, there's only one show in town. It is the Lionel Messi show. But we'll do a quick hop, skip and a jump into Mzansi, south of the Limpopo, where we will hear from Kaizer Chiefs captain Willard Katsande, who has made a bold claim to the ABSA Premiership title with just 4 games remaining in the campaign. And then it's that story, Lionel Messi, who has told Barcelona he wants to leave the club after nearly 2 decades with the Spanish Giants. That's where we'll camp out and we'll hear the thoughts of the ZiFM Sport team. It'll be very intriguing to see what they think. In Serie A, Inter have announced that Antonio Conte will remain as head coach in the Premier League. Leeds are closing in on signing of Spain international Rodrigo after reaching an agreement with Valencia. It's Wacky Wednesday, everybody. Doesn't mean that we're giving you wacky stories. Yes, Mike said it. That Messi story is absolutely true, albeit that it's on Wacky Wednesday. Now here's some wacky music. Pharrell Williams, it's featuring Jay-Z. It's called Entrepreneur.
The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis. From Rufaro to Barberfield, Mandava to Nyamunga, all the perfect moments in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League come together on ZiFM Sport.
Don't forget to follow and interact with us on Twitter at ZiFM Sport. We are also available on YouTube. Simply search for ZiFM Sport, where you'll be able to listen and sometimes watch the show on that particular platform. Now, Caps United Football Club boss Farai Jere, who's facing a fraud charge of around $3.6 million involving an electricity smart meter tender, has accused jealous competitors of causing his arrest to hijack his contract. Jere, who was arrested at at the weekend, continued his bid for freedom today with a bail hearing at the Harare Magistrates Court. The Premier Soccer League boss has left the Caps United family wondering about its future in the absence of its main sponsor. Now, we caught up with football pundit Hope Chizuzu, who say the principle of innocent until proven guilty will apply in Jere's case unless the Premier Soccer League launch formal disciplinary proceedings. Let's listen in to Hope.
The Farai Jere issue is a very pertinent issue. It is pertinent in the sense that it cannot be ignored. And the fraud charges that he is facing, even though they have no connection or reference to football, can also not be ignored because of Farai Jere, who is the Premier Soccer League chairperson, and because of that position, he also gets to sit on the ZiFM board as one of the 8 board members of the Football Association. But according to the constitution of ZiFM, if he is facing charges, it waits until he is found guilty, convicted, and then sentenced. Will the football side of things start working out what they will have to do with him? As it stands, it is a matter between Farai Jere and the courts, and as football, unless the Premier Soccer League decides to call him for a hearing, that is, if they have established that there is a prima facie case against him, in the sense that either it has brought football into disrepute or there are disciplinary issues that needs to be addressed.
Alois Munjira, this is very close to home, isn't it? As one of Caps United's favorite sons, you played for the club illustriously, and you must be concerned that Farai Jere, who is the chairman of Caps United, is currently embroiled in this legal battle, and there's no telling which way it could go.
Yeah, Mike, I think this is quite worrying because Farai Jere has been the principal sponsor of United for a long time. He's been pumping in money. But look at this kind of situation right now. Do you think he will be pumping money? Let's say the league starts just now. I don't think so. We know that on the other side, the directorship of the club, there hasn't been much that has been coming through. So it's actually fair doom for Caps United. Farai Jere will be found guilty. But I like what Hosuzu said, that he is innocent until proven guilty. So we all hope that he is innocent so that he can actually come out and continue with his Caps United project. Because if he doesn't, might have to see doom for Caps United, but not necessarily. Sometimes maybe somebody else can come in and buy the shares and rescue the team. We don't know. We can all speculate right now. But at the moment, we are all worried about the situation and what is going on. Fortunately, and unfortunately, there is COVID. There is the COVID break, and it can caution us for the time being because no matches that are being played and all that. But still, the players need to get paid. It has been coming from Farai Jere as well. So we don't know what the future holds for Caps United at the moment. It's very worrying. Like you rightfully said, it's very close to home. I'm passionate about Caps United, and I'm really, really worried about the situation.
Right, now let me give some details for those of you that don't know around this case. Now, it is alleged that there were over 1,000 smart meters that were supplied by Halcro Electrical Engineering Company to ZESA, and this deal is supposed to have some fraudulent aspects because after they were fitted, after they worked for a bit, they suddenly broke down. But it is the argument of Farai Jere's lawyers that there was no misrepresentation of quality that was made to ZESA's distribution arm, that's ZETDC, when Halcro Electrical Engineering supplied the meters, and that ZESA was satisfied with them after they passed the gatekeeping stage of assessing their quality. That is the legal argument, Barry Manandi, but we know that the man's reputation is being dragged through the mud at this moment, and it raises issues around the integrity of Farai Jere.
Yeah, it does, unfortunately. And in truth, when you read through the details of the case, you think to yourself, in truth, it's something that is a commercial transaction that could have actually been handled through arbitration. Because in truth, there should have been caveats around warrant. I'm not sure what their service level agreement highlighted, but this is something that could have been dealt with outside of someone actually going into prison. And the word fraud being bandied about because, look, I don't know the facts. I'm not going to try the case because obviously it's sub judice. But in truth, it doesn't look like it's anything that needed people to go behind bars ahead of people sitting around a table and going to arbitration and getting some sort of relief.
All right, so this is a case that you feel that, perhaps Farai Jere may have stepped on the wrong toes, like he is saying, because, Chris, he is crying foul and saying that, you know what, jealous competitors, it is cutthroat right now in terms of the way business is being done in Zimbabwe. Very little on the table to fight for. And Farai Jere has come out and said, you know what, these are just jealous competitors who have got me locked up because they want this contract to themselves. But let's take it back to football, though. And then we see Caps United in the mess that it has been for at least the last 3 or so years. A lot of contractual disputes with their players not being paid, players not being paid on time, players not getting their contractual dues. And yet here's a guy who, through this deal, is making hundreds of thousands of US dollars. Now, there's a bit of a disconnect there, isn't there, if he's the principal sponsor of Caps United?
Definitely a big disconnect. And one tends to then wonder, is Caps United a serious business venture for him, or is it more of a passion project that you can...
A hobby, a nice to have.
A hobby, a nice to have. And I think in certain circles, it's nice to pop it in there that, you're the chairman of Caps United, you're one of their principal sponsors. It's a nice...
I own the club.
Exactly. And I don't think he takes the club nearly as seriously as he should. And I think that then trickles down into the rest of the organization, where you have administrators who don't hold in high regard, for example, their players. We saw that debacle earlier on a few months ago, where they had a very public spat with their players. They don't hold their players in high regard. They don't treat the Caps United brand as it should be treated. They're using a bus that was donated, a beautiful bus, to ferry around maize. And you take a look at that entire organization. Organizational culture is top down. If you take a look at the man at the top, it's very reflective of what happens in the rest of the organization. So for me, it's disappointing that a man with clearly enough means is not taking this club seriously enough. If he's able to, for example, have these kind of means, if he has access to certain circles, and Caps United could be a much bigger club from a commercial perspective than it is at the moment.
Alois, have you seen progress at Caps United since Farai Jere took the reins at that club from Twine Piri? Have you seen the club moving forward? Can you say there's been progress at Makepeke?
No, I can't say that, Mike. I can't say, because the situation remains the same, that we're still using the old-fashioned ways of running for. We're still using the old-fashioned ways of looking at football in the country. Like you were saying earlier, that I'm the boss of Caps United. I am the principal sponsor. Chris talked about the commercial aspect of the game. They take the club as a commercial arm of his business. No, he doesn't. It's like a hobby where he says, I'm the one who is paying off the players. He has not made any effort, just like Twine Piri before him, any effort to commercialize the club, to actually make the club. Right now, Mike, as we speak, the club should not be worried that Farai is having a court case, because the club should be rolling even without him. He actually should be, by now, I think from the time it's over, I think now he should actually be getting dividends from the club. He should actually be getting a monthly stipend, a monthly pass from the club, from what the club is doing. If he had set up a commercial arm for the club so that the club can actually run on its own. So I haven't seen any progress at Caps United. It's still run the same way it was run. Actually, Caps United was run better when it was owned by Caps Holdings than it was run when Twine took over and subsequently Farai Jere took over, because the commercial aspect of the game and the way they are doing the management style is not for professional football.
Now, let me bring you, Barry, for the closing remarks on this discussion and say, do we have the wrong structure in the way that we run our football clubs? Because you see, if we use Caps United as an example, where Farai Jere is the principal sponsor, he's in many circles known as the owner of Caps United. He's also the chairman of the football club and very much involved in the day-to-day running of the club. But it's very different, isn't it, when you take a look at a club like Liverpool, which is owned by J.W. Henry, and yet J.W. Henry is very much divorced from the football club. He's not even the chairman of the football club, and yet he's the owner. You see the same thing again with Manchester City, where the owner is out in the Middle East and he's got a professional team on the ground that is running the football club. The same applies to PSG and to several other clubs in the world. Is that a model that we should be using here in Zimbabwe, where Farai Jere should come to the realization that just because you're the principal owner or the sponsor doesn't mean you should be the one who should be the chairman of the football club and running it?
I don't think it's so much the structure necessarily that's the problem. I think it's the strategy and how we then implement that structure and put it into operationalize it. Because I mean, we could look at South Africa and look at Irvin Khoza, your Kaizer Motaungs, who are the chairman, the owners, and also and those clubs are running fairly efficiently because they've got the right strategy, the right way in which the club is run. I think we should look more towards modernizing, professionalizing our game first. Because even if we bring in a chairman from the moon, okay, and put him in place, divorced from the owner, as long as our structures and our strategy is still the same, we're going to get the same results. That person is going to be doomed to fail. So I think we need to look at how we run our football first and foremost before we start operationalizing our structures.
A fine point you make there, Barry Manandi. We need to take a look at how we are running our football in Zimbabwe first before we get down to the operational structures. Let's continue that conversation on Twitter at Barry Manandi, at Sean Tafirinyika, at Gazaman14 for Alois Bunjiram, at Chris Midzi if you want to chat to Christine, and of course at Mike Madoda. And the big one that you must follow and interact with is at ZiFM Sport. Coming up, we've got a local sports news roundup, and then we go international, stateside, the NBA playoffs, the Clippers doing the business last night.
Hi, I'm Clemens Matau, chicken in midfielder. You're listening to ZiFM Sports.
All right, let's start with our local sports news roundup, where swimming is up front and center. Now, Zimbabwe Aquatic Union President Mary Kloppers says they are in a difficult position to come up with a conclusive plan on the start of the season. Their swimming season usually gets underway in September, with local competitions running until around March, but it's not yet certain if they will be able to stick to their usual calendar. Swimming is one of the sport codes classified as low risk, and they were allowed to train, and the union were now hoping to get approval for the start of competitions. On to Paralympic Games, where Zimbabwe's chef de mission for Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games, Ignatius Vambe, says they are continuously engaging the International Paralympic Committee regarding the rescheduled games. Initially, the games were scheduled to start yesterday and run until the 6th of September, but they are then pushed back to 2021 from the 24th of August to the 5th of September. Zimbabwe are still chasing qualification for the games after missing out on the targeted qualifying event, which was set for Dubai in March, but was cancelled. Let's wrap it up with chess news, where the Zimbabwe team to the inaugural chess online Olympiad were knocked out of the tournament, having lost all their matches. The Zimbabwe Chess Federation is rueing their losses in the first ever online chess Olympiad, which will run until the end of this month, despite being knocked out of the prestigious tournament. Given that Zimbabwe sent a youthful team to the tournament, the country's chess federation boss believes nurturing young talent will see the sport scaling greater heights.
Hi, this is Mike Madoda, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
Land of the Star-Spangled Banner and the man who allegedly wears a toupee, but the toupee hasn't fallen off, so President Trump's hair is absolutely real. The NBA is what we're talking about, not the political dimensions in the United States of America.
I thought you were about to give an update. Republican convention.
We could go that direction, but then that wouldn't be quite ZiFM Sport. We'll leave that to Larry Kurira and the rest of the current affairs team here on ZiFM Stereo. We talk sport. Now, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard made sure the LA Clippers had short memories in Game 5 of their Western Conference first-round series against the Dallas Mavericks early this morning. After blowing a 21-point lead and losing on an overtime buzzer beater in Game 4, the Clippers responded early and often behind George and Leonard, setting franchise playoff record for the most points, three-pointers and shooting percentage in a 154-111 win. George bounced back from 3 straight subpar performances against Dallas to score 35 points, while Leonard finished with 32 points and 7 rebounds for the Clippers, who took a 3-2 lead in the best-of-7 series. Now, NBA legend, now pundit, Shaquille O'Neal appears to take credit, while denying taking credit, for Paul George turning his playoff fortunes around in Game 5 win over the Mavs. And Paul George says he did not get the message from Shaq.
Show me your playoff P and not pandemic P. I didn't talk to him, but I was talking to Montrez, and I told Montrez.
Shaq revealed that he sent a message your way. Can you share with us what Shaq said? He had a message for you.
I don't know what message Shaq had.
So he didn't send a message to you?
I don't know. I saw something that he said I'll score 27. I don't know if that was the message, but he predicted good enough.
Well, in the wee hours of the morning on our WhatsApp group, we woke up to messages from our producer, Sean Tafirinika, saying that Paul George was stinking up the place. That was after Game 4. Well, Game 5 picked it up, didn't he, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely, Barry. And I think a lot of people had questioned the character of the Clippers as the team, and also the character of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard as the two leaders of that franchise, the two players whose combination is supposed to lead them to glory. They have been questioned, and this is how you respond, Barry, when you're big game players. When you want to prove pundits and fans wrong, you respond in this manner. This was a complete blowout. They never looked back from the first quarter. And when you take a look at the first quarter, I think they led 41-22 after that first quarter. They won each and every quarter, and even the ones that were close, the second and the third. In the fourth, they put 43 past a hapless Mavericks, with Mavericks only managing 25. And also key, Barry, was their defense. This time, Luka Doncic, he didn't have any sniff whatsoever. He was kept down to 22 points, and he's got to score big if the Mavericks are to win versus the Clippers like he did in the previous game.
Well, Chris, after Game 4, you were saying that you were crowing about Luka Doncic, and it was a phenomenal performance. But in truth, like Mike is quite rightly pointing out, Luka Doncic has got to fire for the Mavs to be in the game, and that defensive effort by the Clippers was certainly at the bedrock upon which they built this win.
Definitely. He was getting incredibly confident coming into these games and putting up big points game in, game out. And it was looking a bit like, because of that, the Mavs themselves were getting more and more confident because of his type of performances. So being able to lock him down, I think, was incredibly effective for the Clippers, and being able to lock him down and put all those points on the board. This game wasn't even close this time. So they managed to do that. And I think it just going forward, if you manage to lock down Luka Doncic, you're not gonna struggle too much to win a game.
And Barry, I've got to say also the other big difference was accuracy off the floor. If you take a look at the amount of field goal attempts that they made, both teams very similar. I think the Mavericks made 85, which is actually one more than the Clippers, who made 84. But when it came to efficiency, Barry, cashing in and scoring off those attempts, the Clippers made 53 of those 84, whilst the Mavericks only made 38 of that 85. In terms of a percentage differential, you're taking a look at 63.1 as opposed to 44.7. That's where the game was won.
Yeah, and those stats also pointing out that the LA Clippers, in this sense, certainly had a fire in their belly. That series standing at 3-2 in favor of Los Angeles. All right, there's some concluded series, and we'll give you the results right now. The Toronto Raptors sweeping the Brooklyn Nets 4-0. Ditto for the Miami Heat. They swept the Indiana Pacers 4-0. And the Boston Celtics are through on a sweep over the Philadelphia 76ers 4-0. Those two those 3 series are done. They are those that are still delicately poised, particularly the Houston Rockets and the OKC, that's Oklahoma City Thunder. They play tonight. The series delicately poised at 2 apiece. And Milwaukee Bucks take on the Orlando Magic. The Bucks leading 3-1. Portland Trailblazers take on the LA Lakers. The Lakers are leading that one 3-1. And the Denver Nuggets take on the Utah Jazz. Well, the Jazz wanting to seal it off because they're leading this series 3-2 and could go 4-2 up should they win this game against the Denver Nuggets. That's your NBA action. It's fantastic.
Hi, my name is Luke Bahamute, Los Angeles Clippers small forward, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We take off in England, where James Anderson says he still loves Test cricket and is not ruling out taking 700 wickets and playing in another overseas Ashes series. The 38-year-old had Pakistan captain Azhar Ali caught by England skipper Joe Root at slip on day 5 of the third and final test to join spinners Mutia Muralidharan, Shane Warne and Anil Kumble as the only players to reach 600 Test scalps. We head over to New Zealand, where the coronavirus delayed North versus South Island rugby showdown will now take place in Wellington without spectators after being delayed until the 5th of September. The much anticipated match, which had been due to take place on Saturday at Auckland's Eden Park, promises a tantalizing showcase of talent for new All Blacks coach Ian Foster. When the virus re-emerged in Auckland and forced the city into lockdown, rugby bosses considered switching the venue to Wellington. We touched down in the United States, where Serena Williams said there were really no excuses as she was knocked out of the Western and Southern Open in the third round by Greek Maria Sakkari. 13th seed Sakkari had trailed by a set and a break before beating the American 5-7, 7-6, 6-1. It was tough. I literally should have won that match. There was no excuse. It was hard, but I had so many opportunities to win, and I have to figure that one out, like how to start winning those matches again. There is really no excuses, to be honest, Williams said.
Hi, I'm Warriors coach Zdravko Logarušić, and you are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Sports with a difference. Z. The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport. The beating drum. The roaring fans. Take a ride on the wild side with the Africa Report on ZiFM Sport.
Kick-off in the beautiful game is in Mzansi, where Kaizer Chiefs captain, the former Warrior skipper Willard Katsande, has declared that they are in it to win it when it comes to the ABSA Premiership title, with just 4 games remaining in the campaign for the Amakosi. Chiefs took control of the title race as early as the 10th of August in 2019 and have maintained top spot on the table for over a year, a historic feat by a long stretch, which was of course aided by the unprecedented 4-month suspension of football due to the COVID-19 pandemic. He's quoted as saying, "We've been top of the log from last year, August until now, and we're still going to stay there, and we're still going to get what we want, which is the league trophy. We are not moved or shaken by any results elsewhere, because the only thing we're going to focus on is what's happening in our house. We don't want to focus on what's happening at the next house." But he's going to have to perhaps, Chris, concentrate on what's happening next door, because they do play Mamelodi Sundowns, don't they, on Thursday, which is tomorrow.
And Mamelodi Sundowns is not that far behind. They're only 3 points behind them. So they're going to have to be just taking a look behind them to see, okay, what is Mamelodi Sundowns up to? And they're going to have to adjust a little bit in terms of their own play, in terms of going up against a team that's so close behind, a team that's, in terms of form, they're both not playing great football, these teams. So it's not, I applaud Willard Katsande for coming out and putting on a brave face and actually making such a bold claim. I think, look, as captain, this is something you need to do. But I don't think going forward, especially their next game against Mamelodi Sundowns, that they will necessarily just be able to focus on their own game. I think they need to focus on their own game, but be very prepared for a team that wants this title as much as they do.
Barry, we talked about Kamability the other day. We talked about the fact that we are not seeing application, we are not seeing desire, we are not seeing leadership. The same can't be said about Willard Katsande. He is exactly the opposite, where we are seeing application, we are seeing desire, fighting talk, leadership, everything. He wants it, and he is walking the talk, isn't he?
Leader of men, and in truth, club captain Itumeleng Khune has been out of the side for so long through long stretches of this season. He's out of the club through the injury at the moment. So you look at Willard Katsande, he's essentially been the captain for this season, and in truth, he's been leading them ably. He's been leading them with his performances, with what he's saying, even through what you just read, and then also even just from an inspirational perspective, he has been immense, and that's what you need. If they had 2 or 3 other Willard Katsandes, particularly in the forward areas, the Glamour boys would be far and away in a better position. But right now, they look like they're limping. If they manage to get the result against Mamelodi Sundowns, they can say to themselves they limped over the line. If they don't get the result against Mamelodi Sundowns, it's going to be squeaky bum time, and they may well lose it at the most crucial time.
And of course, it all makes out for a very interesting race. This one, Kaizer Chiefs trying to stave off the challenge of defending champions Mamelodi Sundowns. But Alois, I want us to talk about what's happening just slightly further down the table. SuperSport United, they're up in third. And of course, this is credit to their Zimbabwean coach, Caetano Tembo, a man that you had many a scrap with back in the day when you were at Caps United. And he was, of course, the top defender for Dynamos. And he's done such a great job at SuperSport United, because a lot of people didn't think that SuperSport United will be as high as third in this campaign under Munu Mutema.
Yes, Mike, Caetano Tembo has done a lot of good work for SuperSport United. You know, he has come a long way with that club. You know, he's one of the longest serving members of the club as a player. And then he went through the mill. You know, he went through a lot of coaches under him. You know, Ernest Middendorp, he went through Gavin Hunt, he went through Ingisad, he went through Pitso Mosemane, you know, all those coaches, he has been assistant to them. And you can only be dumb not to gain something from your head coach when you are an assistant. So for me, all of those coaches have given something to Caetano Tembo. He can only bring in all those different philosophies and put them together and bring out his own philosophy. For me, I think he is actually a fountain of knowledge right now in terms of football, and he should just apply it. And I'm seeing him applying it. He's doing well. You know, when you look at SuperSport United, it's not a team of stars. There are no galaxy of stars at SuperSport, but they are doing well. They are doing great. Third place, yes. You know, remember at the beginning of the season, there was some mandate that he was given that for us to renew your contract, you need to win 1 cup and to finish in the top 4. So he won the cup already, and already he is on his way to winning to getting into the top 4. He has done well for himself as a coach. And, you know, this is his second season in the Absa Premiership.
Since the return of football, SuperSport United going on a great run. It's 3 wins out of 4, just a solitary draw. They've got impressive wins over Highlands. They drew with the Bloemfontein Celtic, beat Polokwane, and recently beat Black Leopard. So it's been a good run for SuperSport United. And very soon we'll have to engage ourselves in a very honest conversation about the credentials, the merits, the demerits of perhaps speaking to Caetano Tembo for that job at 53 Livingston Avenue. Is he a potential future Warriors coach?
Just before we get to the Messi story, that's MESSI story, we're going to have some updates from Serie A and, of course, the Premier League. So Inter have announced that Antonio Conte will remain as head coach. The 51-year-old's future was up in the air following the end of the 2019-2020 season, where Inter finished second in Serie A, a point behind champions Juventus. Reports have been surfacing in recent weeks casting doubt over Antonio Conte's future due to his unhappiness with the ambition of the club in the transfer market. In the Premier League, Leeds are closing in on the signing of Spain international Rodrigo after reaching an agreement with Valencia. The promoted Premier League club have yet to agree personal terms with the 29-year-old who must still undergo a medical, but he is set to become the latest player to leave Valencia due to the Spanish side's perilous financial position.
Right, on to that big story that's happening out of football and specifically out of Spain, where Lionel Messi has told Barcelona he wants to leave the club after nearly 2 decades with the Spanish Giants. The club confirmed the Argentine sent a document expressing his desire to activate a release clause that would end his contract, which currently runs until next June, and allow him to leave for free this summer. Now, Spanish football expert Graham Hunter says Lionel Messi has done the right thing by telling Barcelona he wants to leave the club.
Leo Messi's legal representatives have stated to Barcelona that he wants a transfer. Barcelona are briefing that they've said back that they won't countenance it, that his contract doesn't allow it, that they will refer people to the buyout clause, which, as you said, is 700 million. These things are factual. My reaction is that Leo Messi has done the right thing, should have done it earlier. His contract, that the law may not support him. He may be, what they're saying is that the get out of Barcelona free, if you'll pardon the monopoly expression, clause that he built into his contract. Now, I've seen very little examination of the fact that when his last contract was signed, they put that clause in. They argued for a get out of jail free clause at the end of every season, that he had to inform the club in May, I'm not happy, I want to leave, and they had to allow him to leave for free. When that clause was inserted, it's typical of this club, if you look back at the Neymar fiasco, that they can be told something in big bold writing and still either misunderstand it or fail to act on it. So Messi has been prepared, Messi and his people have been prepared for the idea that he might have to parachute out of a failing football club, Barcelona, for a very long time. They're going to argue that although the timing for the clause that's inserted in his contract has passed, they're going to say that this was an odd season, an extended season, and that months become transferable. They're going to argue that saying it in August is the same as saying it in May.
Lionel Messi leaving Barcelona. Thomas Tuchel, most poignantly, Alois, over the weekend said that Messi is Barcelona. Is he actually going to leave?
No, I'm not sure, Barry, if he is actually going to leave. But what we know is that he has tendered in that request that he wants to leave. We all know about it. We don't know if Barcelona are going to let him leave. It's now in the legal circles to actually see that if that release clause is going to be activated or not. We don't know. But I believe that he has actually some desires to leave. Yes, but one heart is also want to stay at Barcelona. So I think at the end of the day, it actually depends on how the team Barcelona handles this issue, handles the resignation request that he has tendered. Because for me, I think he is Barcelona, not as in right now, not as in point of Barcelona, because I still believe that if Real Madrid could actually let Cristiano go and still continue to win the league, Barcelona can still do the same.
With Messi having won everything under the sun in club football and in Barcelona, over 20 years, well, nearly 20 years with the club, and an illustrious career, the best to ever do it, the GOAT. Chris, shouldn't Barcelona do more to try and keep him? Because there are legacy issues here whereby it'll be a great thing for Messi to end his career at Barcelona, surely.
Definitely. I think they are conscious of the fact that Messi leaving Barcelona, especially at this time, first of all, in terms of just the perception of Barcelona, is not something that they want at the moment. I think it's well understood that Barcelona needs to undergo a rebuilding process. I think that's well understood. But whether they want to undergo that process without Messi, I think that might be a little bit tough. The sticky situation, I think, for them here is that he's handed this, he sent through this fax, this request to leave. And according to them, legally, if they were to choose to hold on to him, that's a possibility, that's something they can do. But this can get into very murky waters. This is a very public issue, and I don't think that's something Barcelona want to do at the moment.
The man who everyone's eyes are on, obviously Lionel Messi, but the other eyes are on Josep Maria Bartomeu, the president at Barcelona, because this is going to dent his hopes of re-election next year, number one. Number two, already there have been protests outside the Camp Nou. It's not a popular decision. This man is under immense pressure.
Yeah, Barry, and I think this is what we're seeing right now is the playing out of a power struggle between Lionel Messi and the club president. I think Lionel Messi over the last few years has felt that the club has gone backwards. The president hasn't done a good job of building the team and giving him pieces around him that would sustain challenges in the most important competitions that Lionel Messi would like to win, competitions that bring glory to Barcelona and also aid him as well in terms of winning the personal accolades that we have seen that have, of course, he has picked up over the course of his career. Now, his performances over the last few years have peppered over certain cracks. What Lionel Messi has merely done here is give Bartomeu the choice of you watch me go and you become the president that lets me go, which means that you will not be able to win the election in March for love or for money, or you go and I stay and I work with whoever is coming in, but in a new dispensation. I think what is clearly obvious, Barry, from the support that Lionel Messi has received from former players and even some current players who are still at Barcelona is the fact that they're going to support him. Why? Because they feel that Bartomeu has got to go. This is a decline that started under Sandro Rosell when he took over as president, and then he left and Bartomeu took over as president, and the club has gone off the boil on the field of play. And finally, Lionel Messi has had enough of carrying the team. And so it's either you go or I go.
And that team is a very heavy load because you look at that 8-2 drubbing that the hands of Bayern Munich, Messi cut a very dejected figure after that. So that's Messi going out. Now, where is he going into? Look, there will be no shortage of takers. I've seen Golden Eagles in Zimbabwe, Flyer Chiefs in Zimbabwe,
we'll take it.
Wanting to take the player.
And number 10 jersey is there. It's available. The number 10 jersey.
That would be nice seeing Lionel Messi at Alfred. What do you call it? Ellis Robbins. You know, it's going to be brilliant, man.
So there's no shortage of takers. I don't think there's a club under the sun that wouldn't want to have Lionel Messi there, but there are only a few clubs that can certainly meet his wage demands because 50-60 million pounds a year is a dear amount at the best of times. So I'm thinking Paris Saint-Germain, Inter Milan, Juve, and possibly Manchester City. The case for each from each of you. Alois, PSG, can they do the deal, and why would they do the deal?
Yeah, I actually think that PSG is actually the most likely destination, or should I say the best destination for Lionel Messi. You know, they've got the money, can actually afford him. We saw them breaking the bank to get him. You know, Barcelona were at their best when they had Neymar, Suarez and Lionel Messi. So you can go and team up with Mbappe, Neymar and him, Messi. I think that's actually a very good team that they can win the Champions League. We all know that PSG have been trying to win this Champions League for a long time. This has been their ambition. They fell short just this week. They lost to Bayern Munich. But now, look at them now. If they get Messi, I think they can just cross the line. So, Lionel Messi for PSG for me.
PSG, the best destination according to Alois. But Mike, apart from the reunification of Neymar and Messi, there could be what the world is dreaming of, and that is Ronaldo and Messi at Juve. Is it possible?
It is possible, Barry, and I think it's something that would certainly be, first of all, a commercial success to partner Lionel Messi with Cristiano Ronaldo. Secondly, I believe the fact that Adidas sponsor Juventus, it would also be something that they would be very excited about because their prime footballer is Lionel Messi. He's the guy who leads the line for all Adidas products. So it would make sense on that level too. It will also make sense because Lionel Messi's partner in crime at Argentina is Paulo Dybala. He's also a key player at Juventus, and so they would be able to hit it off almost immediately in terms of a combination. And I can also see how it would work in terms of setting up the attack. Cristiano Ronaldo through the middle, Paulo Dybala on the left, Lionel Messi on the right. And there you have it. You've got an attack that's going to send shivers down the spine of almost every team in Europe. So it would work, Barry. And I believe that if Cristiano Ronaldo is harboring any hopes of winning a sixth Ballon d'Or to match Lionel Messi or winning further accolades, he would make an easy job of it if Lionel Messi is the guy who's pulling the strings behind him, because he would score a bucket load of goals. The only stick up in this deal for me is who takes the penalties, who takes the free kicks.
Yes, that would be certainly an option. would all die to see. And in truth, if they're playing on the same team, there's a good chance that we could have a joint Ballon d'Or winner in Cristiano and Messi. That'll be a great way for them to finish their careers. But time, who's in Italy, is Lautaro Martinez, who's at Inter. Could he even end up at Inter?
He could end up at Inter. I think if you take a look at Inter at the moment, Antonio Conte is set to continue, and there must have been some sort of agreement between Antonio Conte and the senior management at Inter discussing what should happen in the transfer market. I think Antonio Conte would like to see a bit more bravery, a little bit more spent, and I think a signing like Messi would certainly be one of the things that he could look at. Also, the players you're talking about, Lautaro Martinez, Romelu Lukaku as well, still young. These players have a lot to prove. You throw Messi into that team, and that's a team very capable of, sending some shivers down the Juventus spine and possibly winning the league in Italy. And also in the Champions League now, I think they'd stand more of a chance with Messi with them. Also financially, when you take a look at European teams, in Italy, players pay the least amount in terms of tax. So we obviously know that he's getting into the final years of his career. He wants to keep a lot more of what he makes going forward. So I think he would want a situation where, in terms of taxation, he's able to keep more. But also Italy is trying to bring back a lot more glam. If you take a look at their recent signings in terms of Italian football, they're trying to make it a lot more exciting. Getting rid of that dominance by Juventus. So I think that's a place that he could go, and we could see some waves with Messi and Inter.
Italy being a tax haven for footballers, a good choice between Juve or Inter Milan for Lionel Messi, according to Chris. But for me, I think Man City has got to be the destination. I have no doubt that chances are that he's already had a conversation with Pep. Listen, you talked about Ballon d'Or, 6 Ballon d'Or. You go into a league that's well broadcasted, a league that's competitive, a league where you're likely to win the league with Manchester City. You look at shirt sales. I think the shirt sales will be ridiculous, the commercial success at Manchester City. Also, we've heard Khaldoon Al-Mubarak, the chairman at Manchester City, say that their rule about signing players between 20 and 26 would this transfer window be broken or be flexible? Could that mean that they're looking at a Lionel Messi as well? Then obviously he's got a great chance of winning trophies. Pep wins stuff. That just happens. But here's the deal. It's a reunification of the old guard. When Messi enjoyed his football most, his coach was Pep Guardiola. CEO Ferran Soriano. Chiki Bajirsan was head of football operations. All three gentlemen are at Man City. Bring him to City, I say, and get the deal done. I think he's going to come to England, and England will be the destination. But as for me, I don't think Messi's going to leave. I agree with Mike. I think it's a political fight between the president and Messi. No doubt Messi's going to win, and likelihood is that Messi will stay with Barcelona. If he doesn't, it's going to be a very interesting year. And what better year to do it than in 2020? That's us done. That's all we can say. But let's continue the conversation online. You've got our social media handles at ZiFM Sport. Let us know where you think Messi might end up, and let's see if you're right. For now, we'll catch you tomorrow for our shortened show. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Menande, out.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
The biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.